Welcome to the Fantasy Football Forge. My name is Steve, and it is Rankings Day, and we're going to continue Rankings Day with the quarterbacks, or maybe we're going to start it with the quarterbacks. I just recorded the Titans video, but this one might come before that, and it's going to be awkward because I introduced that one like it was the first of the day. Let's find out. I'd just like to start off with my quickest video in the morning. A couple of quick things before we go through the rankings. First of all, you can see my final rankings up with me live 1 hour prior to kickoff on Sunday. They will be over here on the screen for you to see. Rankings are fluid throughout the week, so you can always see my updated rankings as of Thursday. I put them up on the website, www.theffforge, link down in the description to go and see them later on in the week as of tomorrow, as of Thursday. It's weird because right now it's Tuesday, and then I don't know when you'll be watching this, but those go up on Thursday, and then I update them with any major events. If there's 2 or 3 of them especially, I'll make sure to get on here and update them immediately. Otherwise, like Friday and Saturday, I usually touch them up once or twice throughout there. And then before I go live, there's sometimes some last-second updates, and especially with last-second questionable players, that can alter some things. So just keep that in mind that these things can change, but they are pretty much like they will end up being because I have already finished up my projections, and those are what you can find up on the website. Just to let you know, with my projections, if you haven't seen them before, I do have floors and ceilings as well as an expected range. That expected range is just like a normal single projected number that you typically see, except it is a range. So there's a certain amount of accuracy that that range provides compared to a single number, which is obviously going to be far less accurate. Now that's enough of that. Let's just move on to what you're seeing on the screen. If each color is going to be a different tier, a different level of confidence for the starters, and instead of doing like a top 10 or top 12, I just like to go with tiers. It makes more sense to me. Then over here we have a difficulty rating. Red is going to be good. The deeper the red, the better the matchup, and then the deeper the blue, the worse the matchup, and white is like a neutral matchup, and these are all relative to each other this specific week as far as the coloring goes. Then right here we see ECR up here. That is the expert consensus ranking. I have taken the expert consensus ranking, downloaded it, and started with that, and then moved players from there. So I will be highlighting and speaking about the players who I have the biggest difference with, which you can see right here. So like Jared Goff, 4 spots ahead of the ECR because I have him ranked 7th. The ECR on him is 11th. So I figure that's somebody maybe I should make a little bit of an argument for. Also with my projections, this difficulty rating is a part of a player temperature gauge that you can find up there, which is just a more complex rating of these players in this week's matchup, whether it's good or bad. Just thought I'd plug that in before we start off with the quarterback 1 in tier number 1 with Jalen Hurts this week, followed up by Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, and to wrap up that tier, I have Tua Tagovailoa at number 6. He just made it in there barely. I almost had Jared Goff in here too, just to tell you how I feel about those two. They're kind of borderline there. There's really nobody to talk about, nobody I have any big differences with compared to the ECR. The only thing I will quick point out between Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow I view as the safer play this week, but has a little bit less of a ceiling compared to Justin Herbert going up against Miami. Could be in a better matchup. Well, it is a better matchup technically. And that will bring us to my second tier for the quarterback, starting off at quarterback number 7 with Jared Goff, followed by Geno Smith, Trevor Lawrence, Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, Kyler Murray, and Dak Prescott to wrap that up at quarterback 13. So Jared Goff, I have him 4 spots ahead of the ECR. I have him ranked 7th ECR, and him has him currently at 11th. Going up against Minnesota this week, I like the matchup. I like what we've seen from Jared Goff as of late. So gimme. I'm pretty confident in tossing him out there this week yet again. Then at number 9, I have Trevor Lawrence, which is 3 spots ahead of the ECR at number 12. Going up against Tennessee this week, they're not too good against the pass, not too good against wide receivers. So pretty optimistic about Trevor Lawrence again this week. I did lack a little bit of confidence in him after last week, but obviously I'm still willing to take a shot with him. It's not like he did horrible. Now let's move on to Derek Carr, who I have ranked 10th, which is also 3 spots ahead of the ECR. The ECR on him is 13. Going up against the Los Angeles Rams, it's not a very tough matchup. It's actually a pretty good matchup, so I'm a fan of Derek Carr this week, and I don't know about the ceiling, but I do feel very safe with him. Now, let's move on to Kyler Murray, who's kind of on the opposite end of that spectrum, going up against New England. I have him 3 spots behind the ECR. I have him at 12. ECR on him is at 9. I am just a little worried going up against a good defense. It's not like Kyler Murray's been lights out this year, so there's just some concerns there. I'll be starting him, and hopefully he has a good day. That's all I can say about that. So let's move on to Dak Prescott, who I've ranked 13th. The ECR on him is 7, so I have him 6 spots behind the ECR. And it's not because I think Dak Prescott's going to do terrible. I just don't see the ceiling for him, and I would rather take a little bit of a risk on some guys who have some better matchups, who could have some much bigger days. Going up against Houston, it's just not a great quarterback matchup. They are going to be running the ball all day against Houston successfully, and you don't need to put up a whole lot of points to beat Houston, so I'm just thinking after that first quarter and a half or so, won't be a whole lot of throws. So he's going to have to light it up quick and early in order to have a big day, but he shouldn't have a bad day at least, so that's always good, which is why I still have him ranked 13th. Now let's move on to my next tier, starting at quarterback 14 with Daniel Jones, followed by Ryan Tannehill, Tyler Huntley, Tom Brady, Mike White, Deshaun Watson, and wrapping that tier up at quarterback number 20 is Mac Jones. And we'll just talk real quick here for a second about Ryan Tannehill, because I have him 3 spots ahead of the ECR. I have him ranked 15th. The ECR on him is 18th. Jacksonville has been for a little while now one of the absolute best matchups to go up against as a quarterback in the passing game. So, I like Tannehill in a really good matchup. I think they'll run the ball well, and that should help set up the pass. Now, one thing I did not think about is they're not going to have Treylon Burks in that passing attack. But you know what? We've seen him light it up with Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, so I might end up moving him back a little bit, but I don't. It's going to be similar to Dak Prescott. I don't think there's a huge ceiling, but I do think that there's a nice, safe floor, a decent opportunity to just get 2 touchdowns in there, even if there's not a lot of throwing yards, and that's really how Ryan Tannehill has his better days. So I'm feeling pretty good about him against some guys who are questionable, and Tyler Huntley, although I kind of like him. Tom Brady going up against that San Francisco defense, which really showed up last week and showed us what they can do up front against a struggling offensive line a little bit maybe. So, we'll see if that holds. I'm a little bit less confident now that I started talking about it, but I do like, all in all, I like Ryan Tannehill this week as a streaming option. Now, let's move on to Deshaun Watson, who I've ranked 19th, which is 5 spots behind the ECR. The ECR on him is 14th, going up against Cincinnati. And this just comes down to the guy's got to shake off some rust. It's a really good matchup. So I personally balanced it out, and to me, that landed him at 19 behind a couple of guys who, have just shown us more this season. Deshaun Watson should be helpful down the stretch, hopefully, for some teams. But once again, I just don't have a lot of confidence in it right this moment, but there is some upside, which is why he made it into this same tier as these guys. So yeah, that's how I feel on him. I want to not play Deshaun if I could avoid it, but if I have to for one reason or another, I'm not too I'm optimistic about the possibilities there. And that brings us to my second to last tier, starting off with Sam Darnold at number 21, followed by Kenny Pickett, Russell Wilson, John Wolford, and Brock Purdy to wrap that up at quarterback number 25. These guys actually all have some positive things that I could say about them. I almost made Sam Darnold and Kenny Pickett into their own little sub-tier here to say I feel a little bit better about them than the rest, but ultimately there are things to like matchups here that could work in favor of these guys having some pretty decent days and, scoring more points than some of these guys. All in all, this week at quarterback, it's a pretty good week. So yeah, the only guy who I have in the trash this week is Kyle Allen at quarterback 26 going up against Dallas. Yeah, not anybody I want to take a try on. I might as well just sit him if I'm in a 2-quarterback league and I have no other options, because he might get negative points for you. So that is it for the quarterbacks. Once again, all the other positional videos will be coming out today, spread out throughout the day, so please check those on out. And thank you very much for stopping on through and watching this. I appreciate you. Bye-bye.